What part was that?
It was before I obviously was in the car business and everything else. I was in a 5-year relationship before my wife, and that 5-year relationship ended simply because that car business. And the life in the car business is hours, right?
Highest divorce rate. Right?
Yeah, you put in the hours, and those, she didn't care about the money, right? She didn't care about what I was making. She wanted more time. And before I knew it, after we broke up, it just shot me. It was devastating. So I ended up going out drinking, and every night my bar tabs were $500, $600 a night. I ended up buying a $500,000 house. This was all at the age of 23. I ended up buying a $500,000 house, a nice GTR, a platinum truck. I had it all, man. I was living life. I ended up having about I ended up having about $100,000 in the savings.
So you blew through it, or
I blew all of it.
Okay.
Blew all of it after this breakup, and man, I ended up finding myself about $50,000 or $60,000 in debt, and all credit card debt.
You went past zero.
Past it. The luxuries of having a GTR, the luxuries of having a truck, the nice, beautiful home. I was really at that point lost, and it wasn't until I actually sat down and really just looked myself in the mirror, and it was. I think what really hit me was my brother came to me and he was like, "Hey, dude, you want to buy something?" I was like, "Dude, my credit's shot, man. My debt is so high I can't get approved for anything." He was like, "What do you mean? You're driving all these nice cars. Like, what is going on?"
Yeah.
And so he was in finance in the car business. He ended up pulling my credit, and dude, it was like a 5-something. Never late on a payment, but it was about a 5-something. And he was just like, "What are you doing?" And to me, that was the most embarrassing time. And to them, I was always like trying to, I wouldn't say impress them, but I always wanted to be like them because they were always successful too. And so I ended up finding myself about $50,000 or $60,000 in debt. One night, I don't drink. I stopped drinking. One night I really looked myself in the mirror and dude, I bawled all night. And I looked at myself more as an embarrassment. And before I knew it, after that, Grant Cardone, I feel like somewhat kind of helped me, but Grant Cardone, I would listen to his voice ebooks or whatever every day to work. And, my progress was still at 20 cars a month, but my money wasn't there, my income wasn't there. And so I ended up starting to listen to him every single morning, and how the words that he was saying was being addicted, coming in first, leaving late, always be the first person there, always stand out more than anybody else. And before I knew it, I ended up trading in that GTR, I traded in the truck, I ended up selling the house, I ended up doing everything. I'd never once filed for bankruptcy, I never once, had a missed payment. I ended up clearing all of it. I ended up selling it all. I called my brother. I said, "Hey, dude, would you mind if I just live with you?" And me and my wife now were, kind of somewhat dating at the time, and it was embarrassing for me to even have her see that, And to go through those struggles, it just hit me. And so I ended up moving with my brother, and she was living with me. So she came with me, right? We ended up selling everything, and I ended up going to work. I was there at 7:30, talking to people in the service drive, seeing if I can switch them out of cars, selling other cars. I was staying until 8, 9 p.m. There were these things that I had to do. My wife actually ended up getting a job at the dealership as sales, simply so I could stay longer, right? So she's there with me at 8, 9 p.m. She's selling cars too. After she saw her first check, she's like, "I'm out. That's not enough." So I was like, "You don't need to. Go home. Let me work." Yeah. I feel like the way I was raised, a man should always work, right? Yeah. So I left my wife at home, and you fast forward 6 months. I paid off every single one of that debt. Didn't have any more debt in my name. I ended up going to work 100%. There was nothing that can stop me. It was like tunnel vision. And before I knew it, COVID hit. 2020.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So 2020, I was still going through all this. We were even building a house in Prosper.
Okay.
And I'm like $50,000, $60,000 in debt, man. This is hard work, right? So before this house is built, I get rid of all this debt. My credit goes from a 550 to a 702, right? Mm-hmm. I'm eligible to buy this house that we just built. I'm excited. Before I knew it, you fast forward another 6 months, the house is ready to go. We're having a baby, and I have about $70,000 in it. And I pushed, man, and to see where I am now, right? And to see those struggles now, obviously it changes the way I spend money today, right? Sure. I don't ever. Drinking to me isn't a thing, I drink occasionally here and there, right? But other than that, I'm dead on focused with what I do. And I think this is a good story to tell a lot of people is you have to go through these sucky times. You can hit rock bottom. As long as you don't fail, right? Or you're going to fail, right? As long as you don't crumble and you go out completely and you just throw in the towel, always can go up. You're at the floor.
Yeah.
You know, there's only one way to go, right?
Yeah.
Just go up. Just go up. Anything you do, just go up. And man, it took one day at a time. But man, before I knew it, every bit of that debt was paid off. Now I got my nice car and my truck and everything else, and now it's great. But at the end of the day, man, that was one of the biggest problems that I ever went through as a young adult.
But it's amazing that you actually took the time to say, I'm going to get rid of these and make a decision.
Yep.
At some point, you made a decision saying, I don't want the lifestyle.
Yeah.
I want to change where I want to get out of this debt.
Sure.
That you're in.
I had to humble myself. I was killing it in the car business. I got cocky, and sometimes you really have to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, dude, chill out. Like, why are you talking to people like that? Why are you doing these things? You have a nice car. That's awesome. Where's that nice car gonna get you? Right?
Yeah.
That's great that you do it. That's awesome. That
You got to work harder for that payment.
Right.
And
right.
the insurance and
And
everything.
dude, that's the thing. Everybody sees you have those things, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's doing great," but they don't know that backstory. They don't know what you're going through.
They don't know the price.
No, they don't know.
I have a question for
Yeah.
you, if I may. Handle your sales only, or
It's all commission.
and
Until they collect that last check, they don't get paid.
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
understanding that, I'm very upfront, I'm very direct, so I explain that to them in the beginning. But I do have a heart. I am a human being,
Yeah,
so I do
sure,
understand that everybody needs that.
Yeah,
That.
yeah.
So we actually started integrating a little bit of a deal where when we hire people, as long as they're going out and they're working, and you see the dedication, we're
Yeah.
gonna start throwing them deals.
yeah.
Man, I've closed maybe 6 deals this last month that were already done deals that I've just
Given
handed
to-
to people,
that's awesome.
making
Wow,
they're
just to help them.
making $6,000-7,000 off these deals.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm just like, you know what? I could be greedy, right? I could keep all that money, but
Sure.
what would it do to my people?
You're planting
You know,
seeds.
my guys need to see that success. My guys want to see that success. They see me and they're like, oh, he has a nice car, right? I want to get to that.
Yep.
I'm going to help you get there.
That's
And
awesome.
one success story to kind of touch with that is we hired a guy, and dude, he was making $2,000 a month. Had a wife, had a kid. He called me a week later. I said, hey, dude, I'm always going to be transparent with you. You just tell me what's going on. And he calls me a week later. He said, my wife just filed for a divorce. I said, dude, I'm sorry to hear that. Obviously there's nothing I can do to help you there, but, do you need any help? Like, what do you need? He's like, man, I'm just tired of this. She ended up filing for divorce. He calls me and he tells me, and I'm just like, this is what you can do. And I hate to be so direct, but you have two options. Or we can get to work and really make a difference. And he was like, I want to do that. I said, all right, give me a goal that you want to hit in 6 months. He said, in 6 months, I want to buy a truck. I want to buy a lifted truck, a bad boy truck. This is what I want. I said, let's hit it in 3. And he said, 3 months? Dude, I can't do that. I'm just starting. I said, okay, let's do it. So I ended up going out with him. My brother ended up going out with him, teaching him every ins and outs, right? He was so new to sales. He didn't really know much.
Yeah.
And he understood that it wasn't really being good at sales. It's just being personable, right?
Exactly.
Making sure that somebody can like you and you can become friends with them in a matter of 3 minutes of talking to them. You're good. Fast forward 3 months, he buys his lifted truck. And he's making $20,000 a month. His ex-wife now wants him back. And I'm not kidding. I was killing it in the car business. I got cocky, and sometimes you really have to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, dude, chill out. Like, why are you talking to people like that? Why are you doing these things? You have a nice car. That's awesome. Where's that nice car gonna get you? Right?
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
great that you do it. That's awesome that
You got to
drive
work
it.
harder for that payment.
Right,
And
right.
the insurance and
And
everything.
dude, that's the thing. Everybody sees you have those things, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's doing great,"
Yeah.
but they don't know that backstory. They don't know what you're going through.
They don't know the price.
No, they don't know.
That's
And
awesome.
one success story to kind of touch with that is we hired a guy, and dude, he was making $2,000 a month. Had a wife, had a kid. He called me a week later. I said, hey, dude, I'm always going to be transparent with you. You just tell me what's going on. And he calls me a week later. He said, my wife just filed for a divorce. I said, dude, I'm sorry to hear that. Obviously there's nothing I can do to help you there, but, do you need any help? Like, what do you need? He's like, man, I'm just tired of this. It's for finances, right? $2,000 a month. Obviously, you can't really support yourself there. And she ended up filing for divorce. He calls me and he tells me, and I'm just like, this is what you can do. And I hate to be so direct, but you have two options. You can either fold like most guys do, sit down, cry about it, not do anything, or we can get to work and really make a difference. And he was like, I want to do that. I said, all right, give me a goal that you want to hit in 6 months. He said, in 6 months, I want to buy a truck. I want to buy a lifted truck, a bad boy truck. This is what I want. I said, let's hit it in 3. And he said, 3 months? Dude, I can't do that. I'm just starting. I said, okay, let's do it. So I ended up going out with him. My brother ended up going out with him, teaching him every ins and outs, right? He was so new to sales. He didn't really know much. And he understood that it wasn't really being good at sales. It's just being personable,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Making sure that somebody can like you and you can become friends with them in a matter of 3 minutes of talking to them. You're good. Fast forward 3 months, he buys his lifted truck. And he's making $20,000 a month. His ex-wife now wants him back. And I'm not kidding.
Him for his money.
We should have
he
that
get-
story on
dude.
the next one.
I know. Next one, absolutely, please. Man, he does it, and
That's
he
powerful.
gets to that point, and he looks at me. He's like, "Bro, thank you.
Yeah.
You did that." Like, and I was like, "Dude, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I pushed you to do it. You did it. You took the opportunity, and you did it. Anybody that has an opportunity in front of them, it's either they're going to take it or they won't."
Sure.
And man, he ended up taking that, and now he's doing $25,000 a month right now. He's a team lead, so he's watching over another team that he gets paid off of. And the dude is always out, man. He's such a good guy, and he understands that. Okay, we're trying to build. If I build with these guys, they're gonna take me to the top. And I've always told him that. I'm like, dude, just stick by us. I promise you, I'm gonna take you to the top.
You did cookies. He did lollipops.
Did you?
So one of the tricks we're recording. We're recording.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're recording this.
Oh,
That's
good
okay.
deal.
But yeah, so one of the things that I've done in my business. So what most people do is door knockers and
Yeah.
flyers.
Oh,
What do
yeah.
you do when you get a door knocker at your house? What do you
Me?
do with it? Yeah.
Because I actually know the door knocking deal, I sit down and talk to them.
No. I'm sorry.
You're
the
asking-
knockers that they actually
oh.
put over the door handles.
Like
For advertising. What do? You throw them away.
take it and toss it.
You toss it,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Flyer,
yeah.
same thing.
No
With
doubt,
flyers,
no
you don't
doubt.
do anything. What do you do when you get a business card?
Same concept.
Do you throw it away?
Yeah.
You throw business cards?
100%.
Okay. Most people don't. Like
Really?
if I hand you
Most
a business
people
card,
keep
if I hand you a business card, would you throw it away?
If you did?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, all right. That's what
I'll
I'm
hold
saying.
on to it.
So what we've done is we took all of our marketing and we put it on a business card.
Okay.
And then we punched a hole in it. And then we put a lollipop in it. So it's kind of an
Smart.
offer and compromise. If you're going to leave something and they have to go through the effort of taking it off their car or taking it, we do RVs.
The odds of them seeing it.
So it's like, here's a gift, but here's what we do. And so I've doubled. So typically like mass mailers are like 1%,
Yeah.
right? Like a 1%.
Sure.
Mine's at like 2 to 3% that we get back from business, from specific cards, the way that we design them, the way we've done,
Right.
with the lollipops. So
Wow.
it's kind of along those lines, but it's actually not as good as what he's doing.
Sure.
What he's doing is actually getting to the customer. This is kind of pre-marketing,
Yeah.
right? But what you're doing is taking care of the customer after or
Right,
during,
right,
and
right.
understanding what they do and going above and beyond to make them feel more cared about. Most people don't do that, and I'm sure that's one of the main reasons
To
of your
kind of
success.
tie to that, I had a customer just the other day. He calls me and he's like, "Hey, your sales guy, he kind of walked me through the whole thing, and I'm a little lost." I said, "Well, okay, what can I help you with?" And he's like, "It sounds too good to be true." I was like, "What do you mean it sounds too good to be true?" And he's like, you guys are handling everything with insurance. I only have to come out of pocket my deductible. Where is the issue here? Like, what am I missing? I said, "Dude, I'm as straightforward as anyone. That is all you have to do. We handle everything with the insurance company. I have in-house people to handle that. That's the biggest reason why I do it. Is so you don't have to stress with anything."
Give me the claim number.
Yeah. And he's like, dude, he's a little skeptical. And we talked to him about solar, and he's like, "Okay, so where's the catch?" I said, "There is no catch. I'm saving you, $40 a month. There's no catch. There is no catch. It's just panels going on your roof."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay, man, I need a day to process this." I said, "Not a problem. I'm never going to rush you. Call me if you need me." He ends up calling me the next day. He's like, "Dude, I just want to talk to you real quick, and I need you to be very upfront." I said, "Absolutely. Tell me what's going on." He's like, "I thought about this. I talked to my wife about it. And I've had maybe 50 people knock on my door offering the same service you do, but they're telling me that I have to pay out of pocket more money." I said, "Well, why would they tell you that?" And he's like, "I don't know." I said, "Well, my point. The reason why we don't tell you that is because we want to go to the insurance company and try to get it for you. I would never tell you you have to pay more money than what you're liable to, which is your deductible." And he was like, "Dude, you're getting me, man. All right, but okay. Instead of you coming to my house, let me meet at your office. I want to see who you are in person. Like, I want to understand this."
Okay.
We end up meeting at the office, and he's like, "Dude, I can't believe this, but one of the biggest things that got me was those damn Tiff Streets cookies." And I said, "Really?" He was like, "Anybody. I didn't even give my business to you guys, and you guys sent me Tiff Streets."
Yeah.
that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
You guys sent me a present without even signing a deal.
Yeah.
Right? I said, absolutely, because we care, right? There's only so much we can give you, right?
Yeah.
You're giving us all your money, you're giving us all your work. There's only so much I can do in return, except for obviously giving you good service.
Right,
But
right,
let me
right.
give you a present. Let me give you something. You know, and he was like, dude, my wife is like a cookie monster. She ate it, you know, and she's 100%. He ended up signing right then and there. And dude, he was the most calmest. He was like, hey, I'll give you the money up front. Like, I trust who you guys are now. And you know, in today's world where you can't really trust many people,
That's key. That's
right?
Key, yeah.
If you can't trust many people, some of these homeowners are like, hey, I'm not giving you anything until all the work is done. Okay, no big deal. Hey, we'll do the work, but you're signing here stating that you are giving us the money afterwards. But man, it's crazy.
So it's been a journey for you.
It's been a huge journey, but I think a lot of that goes to the people that I kind of associate myself with too.
Right.
You know, all my friends, they do great things. Some of my friends, you know, work at another roofing company too. There's one guy with the name of David Soto. He actually works. He's a VP of Linear Roofing now, which is a huge roofing company. You know, something I eventually want to get to, but you know, to see him after his 3 years to really get to that point. You know, these are the people I associate myself with, and you know, he has a brother that has been in the, you know, that has just did solar with that company too, that I've been best friends with, right? And my circle's only been so small, simply because I don't want to give myself to, you know, I don't want to hear what anybody else has to say. You know,
Yeah.
I want to see the success, I want to feel the success, I want to be around it, and once you're around that, man, you go a long way. You know, seeing my brothers do it, how successful they are, and you know. It just, you don't want to be the left person, you know, you don't want to be the person out, right? Like, you're in the room with successful people, and you're like, you know, I got to get there. I got to do this, you know? So it's been great.
And now you're there. I mean, you really have gone a long way in your career.
Definitely not where I want to be, man, but, you know,
It's a
I thank
start.
God every day for it, because, again, it could be a whole lot worse. People's situations could obviously be a whole lot worse, but, you know, you wake up every morning with an opportunity to keep going, and that's what you do.
That's it.
What's your goal? What is your goal?
You know, I always looked at those bigger roofing companies. And I'm like, man, I really want this. But then I really think about it. I'm just like, you know what? No, I don't. You know, a lot of them have 100 salespeople, and they, you know, some of them fall, some of them don't. You know, they're not really there. I want a small team that is so excited to go out there and make money that, you know, they're driving these nice cars, and you know, they're driving these lifted trucks, as much as I don't want them to fit in with the roofing work. But you know, they're driving these nice things, and you know what? It's because they had the opportunity to do it, and they, you know, they look up to me, right?
Loyalty.
So at the end of the day, the goal essentially is to get to a, you know, $50 million company, which I think, you know, with, I don't want to say too much here, but we do have a lot in the works of commercial business and different things like that to get us to that next step.
Correct.
But you know, only God will tell, right? You know, you put your faith in God, and He makes that decision to push you forward.
Oh, that's so cool. I mean, you're just getting started. I mean, you're like a year into.
That's it, man. I turned 30 this year. You know, and
you got another 10 years to get there.
It's an exciting one, and sadly, you know, I try to stop myself from going out and selling, but I just
can't
can't.
wait to do our 5th podcast with this guy. Probably hit 30 million.
You know, as it keeps going, you know, as the years keep going and the success keeps building, hopefully, you know, the goal is.
What tools are you using to grow yourself?
Me personally?
So to get to $100,000 company, to get it to 500,000, from 500 to $1 million, it takes different. You can't just do it yourself.
Man.
Like you max out at a certain point. You know, a lot of my contractor friends, they've maxed out at 100, you know, 200,000, and they don't know how to grow.
Yeah.
And they've been doing that every year. But in order for them to get to $500,000, you have to grow teams.
You need to have people there.
And then from $500,000 to $1 million, you got to have a good sales team. So then from $1 million to 10 million, you've grown, and you've obviously figured out a system that's working.
Right. It's you know, I think I've learned a little bit earlier into the career of roofing that I need to start delegating. You know, right? You need to have people in place to handle these situations that essentially you can't be at every step of the way, right? Yeah. And you know, I understood it, and you know, to see where we're going now to help us get to that 10 million range, we've put people in place, right? We've started helping our team build. We started paying them to recruit even more people, right? So having these different incentives for these people to build, you know, having team leads in place to where they're going out and they're teaching the rest of the group, and then you know, one of these guys stand out, and then they're teaching another group, right? So it's almost like a domino effect, right? Where you're just building a group, they're building a group, and then it's just a big tree from there, right? So I understand that I can't be at a certain spot every single time. Having those people in place that I trust, the ones that have loyalty, the ones that are there for you 100%, that only think about, I need this business to grow, those are the ones that I want around, right?
So well, I guess what I meant was, like, are you looking into, like, Grant Cardone, Valuetainment? You know who Patrick Bet-David is?
No.
You need to look him up.
Really?
There's
Okay.
Him. There's also Scale It Live with Allison Maslin.
Okay.
That can
Might need to text these things.
can change your whole mind. It just from where I was, even in my business.
Sure.
I went to both of these this year. They were both life-changing events.
Really?
And one right after the other. It was like 2 weeks of intensive business, meeting with other executives. There's 2,000 people at Valuetainment, 2,000 executive roofers and.
So they actually have something like that out here too. It's called Mastermind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Valuetainment actually has masterminds.
Oh,
in
got
it.
it.
So yeah,
okay.
that's Patrick Bet-David's company, and
Good
it's
deal.
just for entrepreneurs and business owners.
Yeah.
So you got 2,000 Type A personality business owners.
That's a lot of people.
Oh man! But there's solar roofer, there's software
yeah.
people, there's all different kinds of walks, all different businesses,
Different categories.
But they really teach you how to scale your business. Both of these things, and I'm actually going to do a podcast in the future on picking which one you should. If you got to go through both, and I'll go
That'd
through
be cool,
kind of
man.
the ups and downs, the
Yeah.
positive and negatives of each one. But they were both fantastic in their own right.
Sure.
But it will change your whole philosophy and everything that you've been doing. So I think, and it's fantastic if you have teams of people as well.
No, you're
This
right.
This is something that's I'll share with you later about it.
Please.
And but for you to grow, for your business to grow, we have to grow as entrepreneurs.
100%.
Because you're not the same person you were when you were selling cars.
You're not wrong.
You're completely different to where you're at now.
You're not wrong, man. I completely agree with you. And obviously using those different tools to help yourself grow would be huge.
Yeah, because one of the things we normally do is we do it ourselves. Like
Yeah.
we started this business ourselves.
All the time.
We're running it ourselves. And so we don't think we need anybody else. And then sometimes you learn, I can't be in 4 places at once. I need a team leader.
Sure.
Okay, let's do that. And then you start doing that and like, it falls apart for a little bit. You want to take it back, but then you train them or you get the right person in place and you're like, okay, that's working. Okay,
Right.
okay, I should have did this a long time
Yeah.
ago.
I thank the car business for some of that stuff too, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know how it works, but on Saturdays in a car business world, you have those morning meetings and they start throwing cash out there. You sell 3 cars today, you get $1,000 cash.
Oh my
You do
God.
these different incentives,
Lord have
right?
mercy.
And man, that drove
Brings
me,
back memories.
dude. That drove me big
Mr.
time.
Cruz was Pallone Chevrolet, right?
I was Dr. Vet.
He
They-
loved Corvettes.
I've always loved Corvettes.
Corvettes, huh?
Uh-huh.
I started, which was not allowed in Virginia. When you purchased a car, you had to be at the dealership to physically sign the contract. I said, no. So I started lawyers, politicians. I would drive the Corvette to their office, let their employees see
The
it.
ultimate service.
Sign here. For the first year, no service. My guys will come pick up your Corvette and bring it back.
That's the ultimate service, man.
25. I remember 22 Corvettes in 1 month. And it's exactly what you're saying. You take care of your customers, and your customers will take care of you. And that was the premise how we started your service industry.
Well, and that's typically how we all start. But
Yeah,
as to expand to where you're at, to get to 3, you can't do it yourself.
No.
There's it's a different mindset. And
Sure.
There's different tools that are out there. Even media and marketing for your company. You've been doing it a certain way. It's kind of working, knocking on the doors, but there's easier ways.
Right.
And when you go to these events, you meet people that can help market you easier than knocking on doors all the time. That's the next level where you have right now you have an engine of door knockers.
Right.
But imagine if you had an online engine where leads are coming in left and right.
Right.
You don't even have to have door knockers. Now they're just taking leads and going to them.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
No,
And
you're
so
right.
Each of these things start becoming automated, which makes it easier
Sure.
and easier to grow and scale.
One of the things that I kind of saw, and just kind of looking into other companies and how they do things as owners, right? Leading such a big team, a lot of these guys, they do a lot of networking, like in person. They go to networking events, they talk to different people. One of the cool things that I've seen is I love cars, right? So I figured, well, if I get a nice sports car, right, I can go to these car shows. I can start networking, talking to bigger people, right? And I see that, and I'm just like, all right, maybe we should do that. So I ended up buying a nice sports car, right?
What'd you buy?
I ended up buying an Audi R8.
Okay. Oh, the R8.
The R8,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, the
Okay.
R8, it's outside,
Yeah.
and I ended
Oh.
up buying one of those.
Uh-huh.
And First car show, man. I went to my first car show. It was what was it? Cantina and Coffee in the Colony.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest car shows you can go to. Mm-hmm. I end up going on my little app. I bought myself a little spot, right?
Okay.
So I drive up there. My brother bought a McLaren, my little brother. Mm-hmm. He buys a McLaren too, so we go up there together. We leave at like 7 a.m., man. We're excited. And we get there, and we end up driving through, and we're parking. One of the biggest things that hit me is, you see an Audi R8, you're doing great, right? Yeah. That's awesome. That's a beautiful car. Mm-hmm. But then you start to see, Lamborghini Aventadors pull up, SVJs. You start to see Bugattis pull up, Paganis. Cars that are worth
and you go, that's my son's
car. Yeah, cars that are worth millions, right?
Yeah.
And it starts to take your mind to a completely different place. And when I go to these things, it's my mind is like, I need to work harder. I need to push myself a whole lot more. I'm feeling content right now,
Yeah, an R8 is pretty awesome.
My cool R8, right? But it's understanding that I can never be satisfied with where I'm at, and I'm okay with that, right? I'm always gonna chase something else.
Yeah.
But it's understanding that, but really using that as a next leverage to get to that next door, right? Yeah. Talking to these people that drive these Lamborghinis.
What do they do? Yeah.
What are you doing? And come to find out, a lot of them have Montana license plates.
Okay.
You guys know anything about that?
I think it's in a tax haven or something.
Right. You don't pay taxes if you have a Montana LLC. So you get a Montana LLC, right? Yeah. I start looking into nicer cars, Ferrari F8s, right? I've always wanted those. Yeah. I'm going to get a Ferrari F8. I'm not going to pay any tax on it, right? You buy it for MSRP, you flip it, right?
That you associate with those people and you learn from them.
Right. And man, you see these guys with the Bugattis and I'm like, where do you guys live? And I'm like, you guys probably have a big roof, so I probably got to knock your roof.
That's it.
Let me knock your door. Let me get your roof.
I have a pointer for you. In Virginia, I got into sales selling decks.
Nice.
Just decks, right? Yeah. And I said, this is Mickey Mouse business. So I contacted Home Depot. We became, I don't know if you remember years ago, I don't think they had it here in Texas, but in Virginia, you would go to Home Depot and there was a display of a deck.
Oh, no.
And we would install a deck in one day.
Oh, nice.
Because everything was prefabbed, everything. But what was really great is that we had an employee at Home Depot in display 24/7. Customers would come in, somebody's looking for roofing, they would go to your employee, and your employee would generate a warm lead.
That's actually very smart.
They're coming to you versus you knocking on doors.
No, that's actually very smart.
That's and you can go to Lowe's, you can go to Home Depot, you can go to
solid to do actually,
What 84 lumber, all the lumber people.
Yeah, all the lumber,
and you're just giving out cookies.
That's nice. Giving out the 10 streets. There you go. Dude, no, you're not wrong.
Because our company grew from, I think it was 100 million when I joined them, and in a year, when we landed the Home Depot contract after they approved it in Georgia, they went to $600,000, $600 million. Like that.
Wow.
Like that. Because, and we had the teams already in place, anticipating of the growth, and it just mushroomed.
Man,
But it was because I was taking advantage of the goodwill of Home Depot, the goodwill of Lowe's. That's what you wanted to trust.
That's key. Hey, don't say that too loud, man. Keep that in my back pocket there. Keep that in my back pocket.
All these roofers watching.
Home Depot it is.
We're old school.
Everybody's gonna have. You're gonna pull up to a roof and there's gonna be 6 Tiff Treat boxes there, and you got one in your hand. You're like, man, I should have never did that podcast.
I never told
Give it
him,
away.
Man.
A $20 secret.